The leaves, they turn inside you. Gross. Does it hurt? I don't know. So this is an album by Unwound, a band that I'm largely unfamiliar with. They're kind of a post-hardcore indie rock sort of band, maybe some like emo or math early on. I don't quite remember. Or noise, I don't know. Um, I did not love this album. I like it, and I think that it is pretty good and impressive. I'll put it that way. It doesn't really scratch any of my itches within these genres. Let's put it that way. It doesn't give me what I want as far as indie rock goes. Doesn't always give me what I want as far as post rock goes, space rock, slowcore. But there's a lot of really cool things here, and I think it's actually fairly consistent. So let's go track by track on this. I have it at about 3.5. As you can see, really only one track, and that's the opener that I'm not super into. Some of these ratings fell a little bit, kind of evened out. So We Invent You, interesting opener. You got that couple minutes of drone, then it opens up into like a very washy indie rock type of thing. It's not really a favorite, but it's fine. Look a Ghost is like, so this is the first place where I feel torn on this album. I appreciate like the sort of crooked feel of the guitar work here, and we'll see much more of that later. But like the plateau, just the flat line of like energy and dynamics on tracks like this just makes everything feel like it lacks any punch. That's my main problem with this album, and I talked about that in the reaction. So I seem to be like more interested in what they're attempting than the actual final product, I think is the best way to put it. December, first part is more of the same from what I heard before, but that last section is certainly like a breakaway to something else more interesting. I enjoy this one a bit more than Look a Ghost. Treachery, I enjoy those like gothic, post-punky guitar lines, nice sinister sounds. Still, I wish the production wasn't so flat. Terminus. So we start with that like Swans-esque no wave stuff, which then gives way to like these screeching strings in like a Godspeed You Black Emperor type of post-rock segment. Certainly one of like the cooler tracks on the album. I think it's a highlight for sure. Demons Sing Love Songs is one of the first Unwound tracks I heard, and I mistakenly assumed that the album would sound like this, which it doesn't. Probably one of my favorites here. I love that like swirly descending riff. Production is fine here because there aren't really any like rock dynamics to highlight. The vocals never really like get too, aggressive, so there's not necessarily as much dynamic range here. Off This Century, a bit of space rock vibe here with some cool guitar work, not bad. One Lake Less, I love that confusing random blast of sound to open things. And then you got like a really nice spiritualized, dreamy neo-psych exploration here, very washy, very atmospheric. It's one of my favorites. Scarlet, I'm not sure why, but these guitar lines have kind of stuck in my head very clearly, unlike a lot of other tracks on this album. Like, I just re-listened to this like a few days ago, like skimmed through to make these notes, and I don't remember what December or Treachery's guitar lines sound like. They just like fall out of my head for some reason. But not Scarlet. I find the riffs and like the chord work really compelling here, but it's just not really into that flat, whispered, yelling vocals. It's not my thing. Doesn't do it. October All Over. Hey, Slint called. They want their post-rock back. It's a pretty solid track, and the production's like a little denser here too. The side B, the production was definitely stepped up. Like the first half of the album was way flatter, but some of these later tracks are have a bit more crunch to them. Summer Freeze is like the darker twin to Demons. You got these cool, swirly gothic riffs. I just wish the climaxes were a little heavier though. Radio Jira. It's just like some pure Godspeed post-rock here. I dig it. Nice instrumentation. Nothing amazing, but it works. Below the Salt. I kind of dropped down on this one a little bit. It's like a bit slower of an exploration through some of these post-rock ideas here. It's not as good as Radio to me, but it's still interesting. And then we close out with Who Cares, which is like a funny bit of randomness to end things off. Nothing special per se, but it's amusing for sure. It's another surprise, like the blasted sound. But anyway, that is Leaves Turn Inside You. Good album. Great album? Probably. I don't know. There's something about the vibe, the atmosphere of this album I can't quite tell what lane it's trying to be in, and it almost feels like a weird smorgasbord of like five genres here and there. And it doesn't flow perfectly. And like it's an album where like I wouldn't want to listen to the whole thing, and also the tracks feel more like album focused to where it's hard to just go listen to one track. So I don't see myself coming back to this a ton, but I don't dislike it. It's a really complicated. It's like with Bark Psychosis Hex. It's a really complicated thing to explain, liking something but not wanting to return to it. Um, and that's just about like the emotional pull, right? Like if it doesn't connect to you as a person, then that's okay. You can still appreciate it and enjoy it in the moment when it's happening. But that is Leaves Turn Inside You by Unwound. Thank you all so much for watching the follow up. Until next time, take care and Godspeed.